So, Bart Biebuyck, thank you to be here with us on the site of H2 Build website. The first question is this. The possible applications of in the building sector of the hydrogen technology is telling us that we are in presence of a technology that can give really important results. So due to your vision of the entire hydrogen situation in Europe, what do you think the European government can do to encourage this development in a fairly short time?
Well, thank you for the question. So actually, the European government can do many things, and they have actually already last year in July made a European hydrogen strategy, which had several pillars. And the first pillar, which is very much linked to my daily activities, of course, research. So the European Commission is already supporting research since 2008, but at that time it was very, very basic research. And nowadays we see that we can start having real solutions in the street being tested, or be in the houses being tested. But now the next step, of course, is for us to make this technology a cost competitive. So we know today every new technology is more expensive at the beginning, and it has to get cheaper over time. So this is now my new task that from next year, when we will start up a new joint undertaking at the European level, really focusing to scaling up and reducing the cost so that they can compete with fossil fuel technologies in terms of cost. So that's the first pillar. It's about research and innovation, drive the cost down. Another pillar is, of course, prepare legislation that is helping the uptake of hydrogen technologies. And we have seen that, the European Commission, first of all, they set a very ambitious target. They want to put 6 gigawatts of electrolyzers in the field by 2024 and 40 gigawatts of electrolyzers by 2030. And of course, that will generate a lot of hydrogen. And so we need to create a certain demand. And for example, now in the Fit for 55 package that was recently announced in July, just before summer, one of the measures, because there are plenty of measures but one of the measures, for example, they asked to build a hydrogen refueling station for trucks every 150 kilometers along the 10T corridors. So the 10T corridors are the main, transportation goods highways across Europe. And so if there is an infrastructure for refueling of trucks, then of course the uptake will come from trucks. So such a kind of initiatives they can take also, for example, in the connection of the hydrogen pipelines. I mean, today we have natural gas pipelines. There are millions of kilometers in Europe, but now also the Commission will support to repurpose this kind of natural gas pipelines to, for example, hydrogen pipelines. And for that, they will make a gas package by the end of the year. There will be a gas package be released in December, or at least proposed. Let's hope they get there in time, which will also basically give some incentives to repurpose your natural gas pipelines. The ETS scheme, for example, the emission trading scheme, is now also extended, or the proposal is to extend it to aviation and to maritime. So they will have to pay if they release carbon. But if they use, for example, sustainable aviation fuels or ammonia or methanol, which is produced by green hydrogen, they might be exempted from the ETS scheme. So, and that's why how you can really drive, let's say, the request for hydrogen. Another item that the Commission can do and is doing is to make sure that hydrogen is also put internationally at the discussion tables. Because if only Europe will create a hydrogen economy, well, it's very difficult. It has to be a global economy. So that's why when the Commission is going in bilateral meetings with different countries, they always put also the hydrogen file on the table. And also, it's not only about motivating also other continents and countries to move to hydrogen, but it's also about certification, regulations. So we need to make sure that we all talk the same language. To give you an example, green hydrogen. Green hydrogen, what is the definition? I mean, we more or less we have an idea what is green hydrogen, but at the end you need to make it technical and calculatable. So that's why we are now working worldwide on a methodology to calculate the CO2 footprint for each of the hydrogen production pathway, so that globally we use the same method. So as I said, Europe can do many things, and is actually doing already many things. So and we are in the middle of it, and it's great to see all this appetite now on hydrogen and really the pushing of the Commission in that direction, because we need it. We cannot decarbonize our society without hydrogen. Hydrogen is not the golden bullet. It's not the only technology, but it's a very important contributor that can contribute a lot.
This is for Europe and world too. But what should the government institution of individual European countries to promote the use of hydrogen technology locally?
Well, they can do also here many things that also we are doing on a European level. Basically, well, first of all, and most important is, of course, be technology neutral. So don't say, for example, I mean, you see some governments are doing that, like for vehicles, it has to be batteries, for example. And I say always, but why? You have to be technology neutral. Let the market play. Because I also believe in vehicle side, I mean, for the passenger cars, there is some use case, for example, I mean, recently we have now all, I mean, we are working at home, we all do this ordering with Amazons and so on, and all these companies, they are bringing now your package at home with these big vans. Those vans, they are driving continuously. So there is a huge use case, like high intensive use or even high performance use for vehicles that need hydrogen. You cannot do that by batteries, for example. So that's why I believe the government should be technology neutral, and let's see how the technologies evolve. But do not exclude the technology, because I think this is not okay. But when you are technology neutral in building the infrastructure, also you need to be neutral. And so in that sense, you need to support both technologies equally. So if you, for example, open up funding for recharging vehicles, I mean, by just electricity, also you should do the same for the hydrogen refueling stations, you see. So if you're neutral, you need to be neutral on the whole pathway. And then again, supporting regions. I mean, some regions really will benefit of the hydrogen society, and they will be able to create a lot of jobs, a lot of growth in their region. And this is mainly two types of regions. One of the regions are now regions that are still depending a lot on the coal, coal and gas and fossil fuel. So at some point in time, they have to change those regions. And so if you can make a transition pathway, well, from coal to hydrogen, you are able to keep a certain amount of jobs in that region, and to create also, or keep creating a certain wealth in the region. Of course, if you don't do anything, we all know at some point it will stop. Maybe you can go to tourism or something other sector. I understand that. But think about those regions, and think about hydrogen could be a good alternative for that one. So another one is, for example, helping the ports and also industrial zones, because we know that in steel industry, for example, cement industry, they are emitting a lot of carbon. And so by supporting those industries again, to make this the pathway to a sustainable world, you will guarantee also that the jobs and stays there. So otherwise, those industries might maybe move to other countries where basically there's a huge support for the transition, or where they do not need to transit. See, so And I think that's where the government definitely has to play a role and to make sure that you do not disrupt the regions too much, because we know we have to go to this 55% CO2 reduction by 2030. So make sure that the governments are a partner in this pathway, and you have to work in partnership.
The last question, is there any aspect of this scenario that could create problems? Do you see any possible mistakes that could be made?
Well, I don't see so many mistakes. I see only opportunities, I think, for a lot of industries and also small and medium enterprises and academia. Huge opportunities are there. But I would give some advice. Let's put it like that. My advice is, first of all, work in partnerships. Don't try to do something by yourself. I mean, a company as an SME who wants to work on hydrogen, and he will not make it alone. Bring people around you. And that's also what we are doing in Europe. We are bringing all those companies, the academia together and discuss together, share experiences. That's very important. So don't try to do it by yourself. So partnering up. I mean, this is basically what Europe is all about, working together to get something done. And then a second one is safety. So we know that hydrogen is a gas that if you're used to work with it, it's no problem. And we have hydrogen is already being used since decades in the industry. So there are people with a lot of experience. But now we see a lot of newcomers, new companies starting to work with hydrogen, etc. And that's where I said, look, be careful, because maybe you don't have yet all the knowledge. So please, when you start working on that, take care about safety. We have established at a European level a European Hydrogen Safety Panel, basically who will give advice to companies, academia who would like to start working with that. They will check their safety plans and give an advice, because we also have actually a hydrogen safety database, so where basically all the accidents or incidents that happen with hydrogen in Europe is put it in. And this safety panel is analyzing all the incidents and try to draw some lessons learned and try to avoid that things happen again. So what I would recommend you for newcomers in this business, take care about hydrogen safety, because if something will happen, it will have a big impact on the entire sector.
Yes.
So be careful.
Thank you, Bart, and we hope to see you soon in Italy. And good work.
Grazie mille.
Ciao.
Ciao.